Greetings and felicitations once again, fellow modelers. I've got some really interesting stuff in store for this video. Got a big treat for you. We're going to get an up-close personal look at the 50-inch refit. Ooh, 50 inches of awesome. I can't help but laugh. We've had so many years in developing this ship, it's just not funny. My friend John and I started work on this ship back in 2006. Just about the same time I was working on my own 1/350th original series Enterprise. A lot of water under the bridge. You see, John was scoping the forums looking for some information. Make a long story short, he was getting nothing but silence from all of these people that know everything there is to know about everything. So I had a friend of mine contact John to let him know that I thought I might have the information that he needed and or that I would help him find what he could. John sent me an email, and that was 6 years ago. Or 7, almost 7. Yeah, it was 06. 7 years ago, and that began the beginning of this adventure and the beginning of our friendship. John and I worked together on every aspect of this ship. At the time, John was working in TurboCAD, and I was using AutoCAD. And the two just don't communicate well together. Anybody that's done any drafting knows that. So since John was primarily working in TurboCAD and I was doing a lot of research and screen captures and, you know, developing every bit of information I could find out about this ship, John decided that we would go ahead and just go with the TurboCAD. He would do the drafting, I would do a lot of the research, and we'd work together. So we did that. In 07, we had our first part rapid prototyped. I started researching rapid prototypers. At the time, you couldn't just go buy one off the shelf for a couple grand or $1,500. And to get a good one with a really high resolution, you had to spend a big bunch of change out of pocket. At any rate, I found a decent rapid prototyper, really good guys, and we got a demo. Well, that got John psyched to move forward on this. Without going into a lot of erroneous detail, December of 08, almost, well, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, yeah, 6 years. 6 years, I went ahead and paid to have the entire thing rapid prototyped. There were 54 pieces in the breakdown. And our original reason for doing the ship in the first place is we were trying to put together a set of accurate blueprints for the refit. Now, there wasn't a whole lot out there. There were various different fan-made blueprints, but there wasn't anything that was particularly accurate. Now, some say there were. This guy had a set, that guy had a set, another guy had another set, but none of them were really cohesive for the whole. At any rate, when we had the ship fully realized and fully produced, John went back to making blueprints. Now, anybody that knows anything about drafting or computer-aided drafting or CG or even line art knows that there's a big difference, huge difference, between a two-dimensional line drawing and building a three-dimensional ship piece by piece, layer by layer, inside the computer. And that's essentially what John did. Now, how John produced the blueprints was by using orthographic views of the fully realized 3D model. Unfortunately, now that we're ready to go into production, and now that we've got the blueprints done, a couple of people that are so segmented from reality have decided to lay claim to our work. Which is really funny, because we offered to give these blueprints away 5-6 years ago, and all we got was crickets. We offered to give the fully realized CG files away, and again, all we got was crickets. Nobody had anything to say. Even when I was bouncing around from forum to forum, showing John's work. I showed the work on Trek BBS, Fine Scale Modeler, Starship Builder, and so on, and sites that don't even exist anymore. I showed John's work. I also put up a couple of different YouTube videos. The first two, specifically, were strictly about John's work. The work, the research, and everything that we had done together, and John's work in the computer. Now that we've got the ship done and the blueprints done, someone wants to lay claim to our work. And I'm telling you right now, for anybody that will listen to the truth, we did all of our own research and all of our own work. And that ship that produced the blueprints was created step by step, piece by piece, layer by layer. And we were the only two working on it. We had two other guys offer to help, and essentially all they did was come in and mine us for data and go work for somebody else, or try to. The unfortunate truth of the matter is, one of those guys ended up bankrupt. I feel bad for the guy. Nevertheless, this is our ship. We built this. And that's a fact. Besides the ship, I'm going to touch on a little bit of what I spoke about or was working on in the last video. So having gotten all the past out of the way and given you the truth and our side of the story, you can be the judge. Because I will tell you, there is no ship currently on the market that compares to what we've built and created. Okay, folks, let's look at the model. Now here we are looking at the two biggest pieces of the ship. The upper and lower primary hull. Now I want to get in and zoom in, if the camera will cooperate with me, and look at the detail. I want to very carefully scan as much of this ship as I can without eating up too much of the time on the camera, so that this video turns out to be excruciatingly long. Now for me to pull back and get the entire primary hull in frame is virtually impossible. I'd have to be 10 feet tall or taller. If you note the level of detail, and as you can see right there, there's a scar I've got to finish cleaning up. When I got this ship back from Florida, it was a broken, shattered mess. I've been working diligently on this off and on for about 2-3 years. See here where I've got to putty in some recesses. This is from the prototyping process. While I'm molding and casting all of the other parts, half of which are done. I'm continually working on this primary hull until it's perfect. So not only did we build this ship in CAD, or Turbo CAD if you will, but I've had to totally rebuild or remake virtually every aspect of this ship because the person that had custody of it for 2.5 years didn't do anything with it but pass it around to people who did not have my best interests at heart. Now, supposedly for 2.5 years, they were working on getting this ready for production. I'm not going to get too deep into that because, you know, life happens. And eventually, everybody pays for their misdeeds, one way or the other. Okay, so there you go on the upper and lower primary hull. Now we're going to move on to some other parts. And we're back. Ooh, look at all the pretty parts. Oh my. Oh my. Now here we go. A really nice detail shot of the Polar Lights sensor dome and our sensor dome. Ooh. I got to get in there real close and let the camera do the focus. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Talk about detail. Oh my God. Some of it isn't even showing up. I got to get real in there. Okay, so there's the sensor dome. Over here we have the bridge. Want to try to get in real tight on that. Now, here's the neck pieces. Most of this has been molded. There's one part I can't show, but I've got a copy of it because it's in silicone right now. And that is the shuttle deck. Now, if I can get this in the light just right, I use this shuttle deck to create the clear windows for the back and the clear windows for the shuttle bay observation port, or whatever you want to call it. Now, here we have two different versions of the shuttle bay doors. If I can get it to see that, there we go. I bought this camera for the express purpose of doing these videos and primarily to show this ship off. Now here you can see the other shuttle bay doors. These are a little more intricate, a little more detailed. There will be a choice of either or both. And here is the impulse engine. I want to get a real good shot of the impulse engine. Getting a little shadow there. I don't know if it's picking up all the detail. Here we have the fins or intercooler or whatever you want to call it that sits on the back of the neck. These are the pieces that go inside this piece here, the forward leading edge of each nacelle. There are two pieces. I've just got one out right now. And here's the nose section, the forward nose section of the engineering hull. And as you can see, when this is glued together, there will be no gaps or seams. Right now it's just sitting on there. I want to try to get the detail. And here we have the original master for the sensor dome, or the deflector dish. Here's the part that we molded. Here's the actual sensor dish. Now this is what you get when you go to build one of these. This way you can paint the white part and put the clear cast part behind it, and you don't have to worry about any taping or masking. Then you just slide the sensor dish down into this part. Compare all of that to this. Not much of a comparison, is it? Kind of like comparing the old AMT kit to the Polar Lights kit, only this time we've got so much more detail and so much more accurate, it's not even funny. Now I'm going to move around the table here and show part of the engineering hall. I'm going to try to get in tight. Now we've got clear windows for the Arboretum, and if I pull back and you look at the size of the windows compared to the rest of the ship, and compare that to the Polar Lights kit. The Polar Lights windows are way too big compared to what they should be. Now, moving on, we've got the torpedo bay. This is the actual master, and this is a copy. Here we have part of the nacelles. All the little fine details that go along here are brass etched. And this is the top of the nacelles, which is identical on both sides, and it was done this way to make it easy to hide the seams. Now you compare our nacelle with the Polar Lights nacelle, and as you can see, once again, there is no comparison. And here we have the last of the parts. This is pretty much it, people. As you can see, this is a cast. All the detail is there. The master had paint chip off of it when I pulled it from the mold, so I didn't want to show that. The brass tube goes right up the center of this. Both pylons. And there is no erroneous detail that doesn't need to be there. Okay, just like, you see I need to clean up just a little bit right there. Just like the real ship, most of the details are going to be decals and or brass etch. There's no need for raised panels and all that other BS to show it on film. And I've got one of these out in the garage that I'm building. So I'm already ahead of the game. Now this is one last part. This is the neck and spine. You can see I'm still working on this, but it's just about ready to go into silicone. I've got to go back and double check all my hatch placements. By the way, a brass etch panel will slide right in here, so you will have a perfect docking bay door. Now, a certain person that allegedly knows it all stripped this of all the detail and then corrected the detail. Well, the corrected detail that they put on here was not correct. So I've had to strip it off, and I'm going to be correcting the corrections. And it will be 100% correct when I'm done. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Now here you can see one of the inner nacelles. Got a little bit of work left on it. But this part here is all going to be cast in clear. so the pretty blue light will show through. And that's about it. Again, all the details will be brass etched along here. And when it's done, it's going to look magnificent. Well, there you have it, folks. That's the 50-inch refit. Now, I'll be posting high-resolution pictures of all the parts, one by one, as highly detailed as I can. I want to address the thing that has happened recently one last time. We put a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of money into this ship. And I'm just the kind of guy that's going to stand up and tell you the truth and tell you that anybody that takes credit for this work other than myself and John is a liar. Now, we had some help from AW Studios as far as molding and casting, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate Scott and Crashman and whomever else was involved. But we didn't get anybody's blueprints. We didn't use anybody else's blueprints. We didn't use anybody else's model. I've heard so many different things from different people, and it's just BS. Now, you can take that to the bank. That's a fact. People may not want to hear it. They may not like hearing the truth. But I've been speaking truth to power for a long time, and I won't stop now. You don't like what I've got to say? Tough. You didn't spend 5, 6, 7 years researching this ship to have other people try to take credit for your work. At any rate, I may not even market this. I may just do build-ups and only sell the ship that way. However, I will say this: as soon as all the molds are done, all the masters are in their box, and all the resin parts are ready to go, I will be flying down to California to show some people that really know. In the meantime, I really don't care what anybody else has got to say about it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If I've offended you, I don't know what to say. All I've done is speak the truth about what we've done in our work. If you don't like that, maybe you need to look at yourself. So, as for the rest of the movie, take care and keep on trekking. I wanted to get to some other things, but I'll have to do that in the next video. I've spent about half the day doing this one video, and as you can see, I've showered and shaved and changed clothes. So you all take care, keep on trekking. May the force be with you. Peace and long life. Live long and prosper. I'm out of here.